trying to find our how we vetted each other out process. It's nice to have it via text to refer to it. But,
right, via the Facebook messages.
Right, via messages.
Facebook messages, because it ain't on no old phone or anything.
Right.
We vetted each other out early, first conversations.
Peace and blessings.
Welcome back to the Rahotep Relationship Channel.
Thank you. Yeah. Before we even start the video, like, share, and subscribe. Share it to your friend, all that. Yeah. So we got a question. My lovely wife was sharing our relationship process and how we're continuing to be with each other. Did you want to share, like, your
it was just a so I posted on this I guess post on Black Love page or something on Instagram, and they were talking about the how different love languages and how to show appreciation to your man. And they asked the man, different men, what, like, top 15 ways of showing appreciation. And then when I looked at the comments, a lot of women were like, I already did that, and he this, he that, it didn't work, and all that. And I saw a lot of negative comments. So I commented, I already did that, but then I went through, we vetted each other out. And he reciprocated, and before we even went on our first date, we made sure our morals and values matched,
right.
And we didn't want to waste each other's time, and so and then I said that now we're married, I wanted to say something positive. And so so basically someone had commented, there were a few people commenting and liking, and someone said, well, how I need more tips on how you even know that you have the same morals and values before the first date. Do you straight up ask about, like, hey, do you believe in living a sustainable life? Like, do you just straight up ask that? Like, give me more tips. So yeah.
Right. So what I always start with is self, because it's important to understand yourself in order to understand how to vet someone else out. Mm-hmm. You have to understand what you want in a partner in order to look for those traits in someone. It's just like, for me, I always say, if I'm looking for a remote or anything in the house, I have to know what I'm looking for first before I can go find it. So the most important part of vetting someone out is knowing what you want in a partner first. So that means writing a list of criteria for what you would tolerate in a relationship, what you would like in a relationship, who you will be to be with that person that you're vetting out, the person that you're creating, the person that you're manifesting. Who do you need to be to attract that person? Mm-hmm. So those are things to start with for vetting someone out. And then once you have that criteria, the questions pretty much ask themselves, because you'll have everything down that you want in a partner, and you'll just be able to memorize the list, and then be able to ask in the flow of a conversation.
Yes, exactly.
So be able to ask in the flow of the conversation, what, do they match you in this certain way that you've already written down? And, you don't want to be too direct, because it might be intimidating, or it might be just out of the flow. Like, you have to have a certain flow and pattern. You're smiling, laughing, and joking. Right. All right, what do you do to that? Now, if that's your personality, that might be okay.
Show them who you are.
Right. So if you're a person that wants to be entertaining and take out a scroll of lists of, like, all right, if you want to be with me, if the person leaves because they see you got a long list, that's totally fine, because that's part of the vetting process. It's like, let me be myself, let me joke, and let me bring out a scroll, a long list, 100 questions. One of our friends did actually say that they had a list of criteria, and that worked for them, because they showed their personality up front. They wrote out their list, and then they talked over that list. So that's actually really an easy way to do it. It's like, hey, I'm serious about what I'm about to do with my future. If I'm going to spend 10, 5, 3, however many years with you or a person, then I want to go over this criteria and make sure that I'm spending my time in the right place. We do that with everything else.
Exactly.
When we're about to buy a car, we're about to buy a house, we look over the fine print and, make sure everything's right. So that's That's my take on it.
Yeah. Like you were saying, I like how you say start with self first. So you have to know who you are and know what you are willing to accept and not, and what are red flags to you.
Exactly.
What are pros and cons? And I'm big on pros and cons. Do the cons outweigh the pros? Things like that. So know yourself and know what you're looking for. Exactly what you said. And so just to emphasize what you said, once you already know that, then it can flow, the type of questions you ask. Be direct, but not too direct. So just basically repeating what you said, and you said it great. And so, yeah. So we can literally, I don't know how you want to do it, but we can literally go through just kind of like real what is it? Real vulnerable, real situation on how we vetted each other out. And so we knew each other in high school, but we didn't date in high school. And so there was still a lot. And then we started talking once we were already done with college. So there was still a lot that we needed to learn about each other. And so basically, like, we would message each other here and there, like, how's college and things like that. But we always, we would be off and on dating different people at different times. So we never got to a point where we really we didn't get to a point where we really got to know each other at that time. So when I hit him in his DM back in 2015, basically we were both of us, we were on the same page on vetting each other out. Like, it was not awkward at all. We were asking direct questions. And so, yeah, we can kind of go through the questions if y'all want to get a real example.
Right. Definitely. I think even before that's a good idea. Even before we started, I think there was a natural vetting of understanding the person that you're about to, approach. So that if that's environment or understanding something about their background that makes you interested, like if they're established in a career, or if they're educated, or anything that might be a underlying or prerequisite qualification for you. So if you're online and you're able to look up somebody's background or past or anything like that, I don't know if you want to do a whole background check, but it's realistically that's what they do for jobs, right? Use your application to your life,
to your world, for real.
Right. So
for real. So like you said, so like we both knew we both completed college, and everybody has their different things and that they're looking for. But at least we were on a similar page of education was important to us. Just higher level of just education, I guess, and kind of just reaching higher levels in life. It didn't have to be college, but it could be just a trade, a career, something progressive. Being progressive in life, bettering yourself. So I think that was definitely something that was huge on my mind. I saw his Facebook page, and I'm like, okay, we both ran track together. We both obviously still in high school we ran track together, not in college. And then so we both obviously care about our bodies, like to stay working out. So those were kind of some prerequisites going into it, but we still had to ask those questions. So
let's see, what do we...
So I started out with Peace King. How is life? How has life been treating you?
So life is treating me well. I have a lot to be thankful for. What about you? What I was looking for in the beginning is one that, since she asked me a question, I was happy about that, because when you're in the beginning phase, if someone's not reciprocating, just asking you questions about how you're doing, and it's like usually a telltale that they're not interested in you as interested as you are them, if they're not asking you questions back and forth. So that's just basic for me. I was happy that she was asking questions back and forth. So I asked how about her to reciprocate her question asking.
Right. And then I said, ain't that the truth? Same here, blessed. Just been working my career job and community youth involvement. Pretty rewarding.
congrats, that's good. You found something you enjoy. Keep it simple.
Thanks. What you been up to?
And at that time, I was working at an elementary school with special needs students, so that was my way of giving back to the community in a sense, doing something that's more challenging that other people wouldn't want to do. And I felt that was something good to show, like, hey, I'm working with kids. This might be something that if we had kids, if I was, if she's vetting me out on her side, hey, if we got kids, I'm already working with kids, I'm already, good with them.
Right.
And more challenging kids, most likely.
Right.
I enjoy them both. I enjoy working at, I was also working at the YMCA. That's what I said right here.
Right.
So I was working out. I enjoyed working there. I enjoyed them both. I will be going back to school to get my master's. Decided not to do that. Starting a career soon. I've been living alone for the past 3 months, so that was good. Biggest blessing this year. Yeah, it was good to just learn myself at that time. So.
Right. See, that was a lot of information and one message back, okay? So I'm like, okay, cool. Special needs kids he's working with, just getting all of that information in one message tells a lot, so we had long messages to each other. And I was like, what? Okay, I see you. Yeah, that sounds hella rewarding. That's nice to hear. Wow, you are motivated. It's always great to see Black people, especially that come from the same environments, accomplishing great things in life. What will you go back for?
Right. So yeah, definitely. We saw ourselves from our community striving to be better, and that was big for both of us. Like, all right, we know where we come from. It's a tougher environment, so to be trying to make it out and try to do better for ourselves and to come back and be able to give back, that was big for both of us.
Right. And there was some stuff in between, but then he asked, what else is going on with you?
Right.
So that's like a deeper question. Right. That's more, it's not just surface level. Right. And he's great at asking more questions. Like, he'll be like, how are you? And I'm like, I've said this before. And I'm like, babe, we've seen each other all day. You're asking me, how are you? But I got so used to it now because there is more to tell. There's more to say. Right. How am I doing at this moment may be different than how I was doing earlier this morning. And just how I'm doing this week could be different than how I was doing last month, and so just asking those questions, tapping in with each other, is great. But yeah, that's in, further down the line, but yeah.
Definitely I probably said this before, but I think it's important to constantly check in because humans, we're ever changing, our mind is ever changing, especially if we're like on social media and stuff, our mood is changing back and forth because we see happy posts, sad posts, and our feelings and moods change and what we're thinking about changes. So it's important to just check in with each other and understand, so that way you're able to follow the pattern of your partner. Right. I think it's important in marriage to get to understand your person so that you can have that happy, fulfilled experience because you're both working in tandem to understand and help each other solve problems together. So, and if you have your own problems through your emotions, you're able to work together to work those out. And you're being intentional and intuitive on understanding, like, hey, my partner, something's not right because I'm checking their day to day. I'm checking their, minute to minute, and something seems a little bit off.
Something's off with the mood.
Did something on that phone make you mad, or did something and somebody call and say something that made
something at work going on?
So it's nice to be in tune with each other and understand what's going on.
Exactly. So I just got into a little deeper about work. And kind of more deeper into why I value the community that I talked about before. Right. So
definitely
I do a lot of youth mentoring, and I mentioned I love building up the Black community. Right. I like promoting Black economics, promoting African consciousness. I'm super pro-Black. So I said that just straight up, like, look, you want to know what else is going on with me? And super pro-Black, not anti-white, but super pro-Black, So, hey, just wanted to let them know who I am. Right. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely that. So that for me helped me understand who she would be as a person. If she values the, Black family unit, then she would value me in some degree. So that was some element of understanding, like, okay, she's already going to value our community, so she's going to value putting in the work to have a positive Black family. So because you already have that baseline. So I was similar, definitely. You know, we were similarly yoked in that idea. So I was like, okay, let's.
Right.
Let's,
I'm more overt with it. He's more covert with it. He's like, let me just show it in action. Let me get my queen. Let me get my wife. Let me lock this in. You know.
Right.
So
yeah, I just wanted to share ideas at that time. I just wanted to share ideas to see what she would say about them. So talking about consumerism, see if she's against that. If you know, I put out you put out questions and ideas to see what their take on it
right,
is
because
when
he
you're
talked
vetting.
about the Jordans and the Gucci belts must stop.
Right.
So if I'm like, nah, I love my Jordans. I wear
Right.
Jordans every day, and
Yeah.
I gotta spend my last dime on Jordans. Like,
Right.
hey, to each his own, but that's not something that he values,
Right.
and that's not something I value. So then we understand economically
We're on a similar page.
that we're on a similar page, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah,
were you
that's-
gonna say something else towards that? I did.
No, that was
interject
great.
there.
That was great.
Yeah.
You know, you're not interjecting. You're helping. Get to the point.
And let me summarize something here. You can help me on this because this is a long dude. You must have went to sleep. He was in Tennessee and I was in California, Sacramento, California. So where we are now. So
Yeah, no. So we both shared the similar values of economics. So she went deeper into her portion, and then she went deeper.
I
into
went really deep because I talked about my dad has always taught me since I was younger to have pride in being Black and African.
And we're the number one consumers, and
Come from
so
our full potential. Yeah, our full potential. If we know who we are as melanated people, so it's just just putting those ideas and what I think about out there. So
yeah, definitely. So to the point of putting out an idea and allowing the person to either share their side. If she would have been all about the expensive clothes or whatever, I would just understand more what I'm getting into, and if I would want to, like, all right, man, she gonna be having me waste money on this type of concept. It's like, it's important to bestow gifts on your partner, but it's if you guys are not on the same page with them, then it's like, hey, don't waste each other's time.
Because I get happy with flowers.
Right.
I get happy with gestures of, buying me my favorite drink, surprising me with my favorite drink from the store, or the flowers and, the gifts that you do give me. I'm happy with those things, but I'm super excited about it. And he that's rewarding to him, and it doesn't have to, even the simple, going to the park, taking a run around our block, like these things bring joy to me. It's not about, consumerism.
Right. And definitely, if there are products that are worth, like, they have the value that's meaningful to us, like it means something to us, it's something that you're going to use in your holistic practices, or it's something that's important, then it's like, all right, let's put up some more money for that. But it's like, if we're just going off of the TV and going off of the advertised brands, that's not what I wanted to do.
So back to morals and values. What do you value? That's going to show what you would value putting money into as well.
Right.
So here he started talking about, if you can pass your thoughts successfully to children, you've done your part.
Right.
That's already in my mind, like, okay, he values passing down something to his children,
Right.
It's not just about living your life and having children. Oh, he said, it was a pleasure sharing thoughts with you, Queen. I appreciate you reaching out.
Oh, see, I acknowledge.
So this was, this was all that first conversation. Now you can say, because you came back with some questions the next day.
Right. Okay, so for me, I had my list of ideas. I don't know if I wrote them down. I feel like I did, because that's my advice.
Most likely wrote them down. You have so many journals,
right? Right. So, but I had definitely thought of what I would want an ideal relationship or a marriage to be like. And of course, you have to start with a relationship, and not everything's going to lead to marriage, but you should, in a sense, be on a trajectory towards marriage.
Some people may not be on that trajectory,
Right.
so you got to vet each other out and
That's
see
true.
if you
That's
match.
True. That's true. So yeah.
So that was what you were on and we were on, both
Right.
on,
And
but we
it's
had to figure it out.
Totally understandable if somebody's not on that trajectory. They might, hey, I'm just trying to have fun or figure it out, and it's totally understandable. I wanted to be direct with the question asking because I didn't want to have any gray area of misunderstanding. So I just went ahead and asked, what are your thoughts on relationships and marriage? What should they look like and how should they be? So I think that is a great...
Dang, that's unloaded. So
Right.
that's the next, I believe the next day, and he asked those 3 questions.
Right. And I believe that's like a good way to present questions, because if you're wanting to be more upfront and straightforward with someone, like, hey, what do you think a marriage should be like? What do you think a relationship should be like? So that they can share with you your answer, and you can start processing and understanding, like, does this align with what I want, or are they putting up some points that I didn't think about, or they're just totally unaligned with me? So
Right. And that's huge because everybody has a different perspective on what marriage should look like.
That's
and then when people
true.
get married, they come together,
Right.
and sometimes it doesn't work out because now that we're married, I'm expecting you to do this. I'm
this, and I
expecting
never
you to
talked
do
about
that.
it.
But we never talked about
Exactly.
that. I'm so this was huge. This is before our first date.
Right.
Loaded
Yeah.
questions. So I had to take some time to respond to that one. I think I had just got off work. And I kind of put a hint out there. I'm not that good with Facebook messages. I don't have Messenger. So I think, at that time I was trying not to be on Facebook. So in general, I think everybody has their own perception on marriage. So it's super important for married couples to have a good understanding on what expect out of it. Oh yeah. So a good understanding on what to expect out of it and how they expect to raise their children.
Right.
I believe in teamwork, sacrifice, and communication. I know for me, I want to grow and build with my husband relationship. So keyword husband, I'm sure he was looking at that like, all right, husband is in there. Husband relationship and learn from each other, or I would be disinterested. I'm a very intuitive and sensitive person. So I need a lot of love reciprocated. Oh, this is making me... And I believe love is stronger than pride, and both should be in it 100% or not at all. What about you? Oh my gosh, it's making me emotional because like we're just all that we need.
All that, for real. Yeah, so I thought, it was really nice to read that because it's like, all right, she laid it out exactly how how my breakdown was. So I was like, that's huge. That's impressive that someone is thinking like that too. Like wow, I wouldn't expect that someone was thinking like how I have it in my mind written out. So I had a long-winded answer for her too, and I said I'm probably gonna say the same thing in different words. So a great friendship is more important than the idea of ownership people have when they're in a relationship. For sure, there should be accountability to one another, but the idea that if you're with me, you belong to me is a factor that most likely kills relationships over time. Friendships last longer than relationships because there are fewer expectations. Friends don't have to talk every day to see each other. If a relationship has to end, it's most likely that the friendship will stand if it was strong to begin with.
Exactly.
This talk that we're having right now should be had at some point at the beginning of every relationship.
Yes.
Since everyone's idea of a relationship and what they want is different, I pretty much would restate everything else you said from this point on. Great minds think alike. I think communication is the biggest thing, because if wants or expectations aren't understood throughout the process, the relationship will fail. I think deeply And I felt that asking you this question would produce a satisfying answer, and it did.
Aww.
You have a beautiful mind, and that is what I want most in a life partner. Someone I can converse with deeply and learn from.
Aww.
Dang, I just shot my shot in an immaculate way. Deep. All Jabari? No, I'm just kidding.
Aww.
Dang, we were going in. I was emotional on my reading too. I was like,
Oh, this was back in 2015.
but yeah, I pretty much elaborate everything you said at that point. That's pretty
yes, and keywords here for me reading this, I'm hearing him say life partner. I'm hearing him say friendship. Just everything that he said, I'm like, okay, this is definitely lining up with what I believe in as well, and how I see a relationship, marriage. This is lining up with me. So yeah, and I think some of this could be summary. I was like, oh, I'm always like, oh, and you know, stuff like I'm digging your mindset. So he talked about me having a beautiful mind. That's so important. You're dealing with this person every day. Right. Their mindset is so important. And just what is it like, what is it, their state of mind, but it's another word I'm looking for. But yeah, their mindset is so important. I think that's exactly what it is. So I'm digging your mindset. I love deep convo, so we on the same page, because we can talk all day. Okay, we went to a party. We went to a party, and it's probably like it's 1 a.m. right now. We went to a party today. We came back and we still talking. So might as well put the camera on. So we talked about the Black woman, and that was important to me to hear. So you know,
right. Well, yeah, definitely. I said the Black woman is special because she's the mother of the earth. Eve was a Black woman.
So yeah.
So we were aligned.
Definitely aligned. He went into some deep stuff there. So.
right.
But yeah, like you were saying, my bad. So you said our second vetting question
was, are you religious or spiritual?
So I just straight up asked because I did not want to lead him in any way.
Right.
So I think this to me probably was just kind of like, all right, everything is so aligned. Right. Let me just go ahead and ask this question. And a lot of times in relationships, that is kind of like the last thing really focused on, or I don't know, but
it just depends on the person.
It depends on the person.
If you're a very
always in church, and
if you're a religious person and you're from any religion, and that's important to you, you know you're gonna have specifics that should be carried out by your religion's criteria or your own.
It's a part of your life.
Idea. It's a part of your life, and if that. Sometimes people think they can make it work, and they do with different religions or different spiritualities. They may be able to make it work with different, but most likely it's going to need to align to make it easier. Like, all right, we're going to this, I'm going to that with you.
Right.
All right, I'm praying to my same Most High, you're praying to your same Most High. That's what's up. Right.
So, but then how are we going to raise our children? So a lot of times that's important. Like, well, are we raising your children with this religion or that religion? You know. And so that was there.
Right. And if your religions don't align and you're arguing about the points, it's just
can be big.
Easy argument. Like religion, politics, and those are things people can easily argue about. And of course, we talk about not arguing in relationships, so that's a whole nother video.
Right.
But having a simple alignment on religion, what you think marriage should be, what you think a relationship should be, what should each partner bring to the table, what should each partner do. Those things are things you should align on to make it a more seamless process, and you guys can build as opposed to fighting and trying to build on top of that.
And it was important for me to ask this question as well, because it's not just about, like, some people can be religious and they still don't focus on being their highest version, their best version
of their self,
the highest version of self, best version of self. So they, you know, it was just an important question for me. So yeah.
Definitely. So I would say I was spiritual, but I seek knowledge from all different religions. What about you?
And you know, I pretty much, I was like, same here, very spiritual. And you know, we went into more details. I feel like everybody has their different ideas, so we don't have to share too much. But
we saw that we were aligned on the spirituality, and we elaborated in more detail, and that was fulfilling for both of us because that's something that's harder to find in our community. So for us to already been know each other from high school, then to align on so many fronts as far as what we believe in for relationships, then what we believe in for, I forgot what the second thing was, but
marriage. So marriage and relationships.
Marriage and relationships.
The first one was just, are we going to be, basically, do we communicate with each other back? You know, do we reciprocate?
Do we reciprocate?
That was really reciprocating in communication.
Right.
If I was just one word answers, he was just one word answers.
Right.
You know.
And then to align with our spirituality as well was like, all right, well, shoot, what do we, like, hey, we got everything. We keep it simple and not try to search everywhere else to find so many things that align. But it's nice when you understand your list and you can look for a person that aligns to so many of the ideas. Like, well, this, and it's good to separate them into categories of most important as well, because then it's like, well, if they align on the most important things, then you can probably start compromising or understanding what needs to be compromised.
Right, because it can still work out with the right person.
Right.
And you even mentioned, I'll just share one part, you were saying like, I figured that would be the one deal breaker. You thought that it could be a deal breaker,
For sure.
you know,
Religion,
if we didn't align when it came to our beliefs. So
definitely
we were rewarded with it wasn't. So how often do you come to SAC? That was important.
So how often did I visit back?
So he's all the way in Tennessee. I'm all the way in Sacramento. And so I think we've shared before, but before we started dating, we were consciously manifesting each other.
Right.
I was doing my affirmations, looking in the mirror, repeating my affirmations, that would align me with finding my husband, align me with being a soon-to-be wife, and just being a better version of myself,
right.
and woman, and soon-to-be mother.
Right.
And he was doing his part. He was doing a lot of journaling,
Right.
and creating your list of exactly what you wanted.
Right.
So we were both manifesting each other. And so even when I hit him up, something was like, come on now, he's all the way in Tennessee. Like, I don't like long distance relationships, but something was telling me like, just go for it. Just go for it. Hit him up, and why not, you know? So the next question was very important to me,
Right.
and I'm like, well, how often do you come to Sacramento?
Right. So yeah,
Oh, and I said, is your family still out here? Okay. I was like, if his family's still out here, that's crazy to ask that. Is your family still out here?
Yeah, so it was important for us to be, you know, in the same city. And at that time I was in Tennessee, still trying to figure out my life as a young adult man. And, but I was missing family because I had been away for 8 years at that time. I'd gone past the college time length, and was still just, you know, since I had a few connections out there, I was trying to figure out my career path. And, so for her to ask if I was visiting SAC, you know, that showed me that she was, you know, interested in being in a closer proximity, and I was already on the trajectory for being in closer proximity. So it's like, well, here's an extra reason to go back and visit family and, you know, start family essentially if we're aligned. So this is all early. So this, to answer, you know, some questions for people like how early or how soon should you ask these harder questions? It's like as soon as it's, you know, it's mandatory for you. There's a flow and a pattern to talking to someone that you're vetting out. If it's too early for them and it's early on time for you, that's part of the vetting out process. If they're not ready to answer that type of question, maybe they're not the person that for you.
Right. Don't force it.
Don't force it. So it may look like, and there's always hope that
timing is everything too.
So if you ask them that question in the time that's right for you, maybe they like, you know, they go back and they think about it, and then they decide, you know what, let me hit that person back up and answer that question. So I think it's okay to ask your questions how you see fit, because it's you that's going to be giving your energy to somebody else, and doing your best to make their life great. So you got to check and see, like, hey, are you going to be doing your part to make my life great too? So I think that's what we really had down when we were figuring, vetting each other out. It's like, hey, I'm going to ask you these questions because I'm interested in pouring into your life, and you ask me your questions, and if they're reciprocal, then we're able to share, ourselves with each other.
And I would say also being ready for the answers. You kind of touched on that. Like, be ready for the answers. Be ready to understand and overstand the answers that they give. And like you said, like, I didn't even, like, he said that before, like, there were some things I would say that kind of made him think like something else was obvious. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think that, but I guess subconsciously, sometimes I was already thinking certain things. But I do feel like this was like kind of just super direct. How often do you come to SAC, and is your family still out here? And I didn't realize that. It's like, all right, cool. She wants me to be in closer proximity, not necessarily move out there, but like if I were to come visit, I can, probably hit her up. We're more likely she would probably say yes to a date, things like that.
See, so, in those times, I feel like we both were asking. We were like
already aligned on one end, a relationship.
We were on the same page because we could ask those type of questions with each other. And we were just asking the same question. We were asking the next question for each other. That's what it was. So it's like, that's what we were like, let me just ask. So we were already like creating the relationship right there. It's like, hey, all right, these boxes are checked off. Everything's checked off. Are you going to be back in SAC? Like, hey, so as far as like, we already got all this other stuff aligned. Are you going to be aligned out here? So, But yeah, so I think, definitely it's important to, just ask those questions that are important to you. For you about to make this decision to be with this person, ask the questions that would almost guarantee that taking the risk of dating someone is worth the reward, because they're going to put in effort that is reciprocal of what you want, or displays what you want, or shows what you want, or however you want to think about it.
And people can be deceiving in the beginning, so you're always constantly reflecting, learning them. Be, like I said, be ready for the answer. Sometimes the answers won't be exactly in your as a response. It will be an action. So is their action aligned with what they're saying? That's a whole that's a whole nother. And so and just to touch more on, be ready for the answers. Be ready for red flags. Like, don't. We've talked about this in a previous, I think our very first video is, if it's not meant to be, don't force it. If it's not the timing, not meant to be, because I would rather know now and not force it now than be in a long-term relationship, or have children involved, and you physically get attached to the person that you love. Like, that is just like a heartbreak that you don't want to experience if you don't have to.
Definitely no. Like you said, be ready for the answer, and the answer is not always in words. It's like after we've done all this talk, people can say whatever, but if they don't come to you and align with what they said, then it's just like buying anything out of the store. If you told me there were 6 of whatever of this object in here, and I only got 1 when I got home and opened the box, I'm taking it back and returning it. I'm not gonna just keep it and figure it out. I'm gonna take it and return it. So it's like, hey, if the person told you that this was the criteria that was in their body, and they were gonna be this for you in a relationship, and they start not being that, time to take them back and hey, figure it out, fix it, or I don't even want it, I want a new one.
Right. Constantly weighing your pros and cons and communicating. Always communicating, reflecting. They're reflecting, hopefully, and communicate.
So my fault. That's what I was gonna say about the reflection. Is like, if you have it in a list form, or if you have it somewhere written down and understood, you can go back and refer to that. Like, hey, I remember in the beginning you said this. That's not adding up no more. Like, are you still like that? Or are we changing? Or are we like, Are we ready?
That's where communication comes. And they may say something that, I'm still like this, but this has been going on in my life, or this is that. You're constantly learning each other. Definitely. Constantly. So yeah. Right. So we do have a video that we already posted about why our channel is called Rahotep Relationship Rules.
Right.
And basically, so 2 months in our relationship, we wrote down relationship rules. So definitely please check that out if you would like more information on how we continuously vetted each other out, right. Constantly continue to learn each other and reciprocate and basically communicate. Right. So please check that video out.
Right. I think from your statement, I just learned, and we're always doing it, but you're pretty much always vetting your partner out. It's like, hey, are you still like what you were talking about? Yeah. Like we was reading this, like we were both looking at like, did we align? Do we still say? And this is almost 7 years later. 2 3 months will be 7 years.
Right.
So and everything is still aligned from what we said 7 years ago. So that's
right. Well, this one was even before we started dating. So this was like in October. So that was like 2015.
So it's already past 7 years that we were asking these questions. So do we still, are those things that are still to our core, and those are still our core values of what we're talking about. So it's like funny that we looking back now, and it's like still the same ideas that I have now, same things I was saying there, still the same stuff that she values. It was the same stuff that she was saying then. So it's a constant vetting out process, but it's just if you find the right person, it's just fun getting to know each other for the rest of your lives and just having fun making each other better.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning to our channel. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And
peace and blessings. Very crazy.
Right, as we going through, I ain't gonna force it, but
that's hecka funny. Hey, I know you just got married and all that. They gotta say it how you would have said it.
I was like, hey, I know you just got married and all that, but let me know if anything changes. Heart face, heart emoji, with all due respect, of course, and congratulations. He is real lucky, and I could tell by how that dress fits. I was freaky trying to slide in the DM. Yeah,
babe, crazy.
I almost had it.
I don't entertain other men.
Wow, I was shocked by that response because I was like, man, I had put my best game and the heart emojis. But I respect that because that's real love.
That's crazy. See, this is how we get it spicy. Keep it spicy. You gotta message each other.